info as we have. I think they're gonna make a separate page for us, but yeah, that information is
What
up there.
web page? Are you being pulled into a separate Slack channel that try to manage the web page?
Yeah, there's a different
Oh,
channel.
okay. Yeah, got it. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
like
I
we
was
have
just
to.
record. Okay.
Yeah. I just put in our was like the weekly report and the recording for our well actually I don't think we even can put in that recording if it's like a Teams video because I tried embedding the Teams video into like the recording video onto the web page, but I don't think it was possible. But
Yeah,
uh,
you could just directly copy the link, I think. That's why I
yeah,
did. Because I also need to add those info into the planner, if you know what that is, in Teams. So
okay,
yeah, pretty much.
got it.
I don't think he's gonna join. I think we just get started. So on my side, what I've done, actually not much because I have a assignment due, pretty much. Just work on
Mm,
that. So honestly, I got kind of shocked by with the high requirement mentioned by the computational supervisor. Because
yeah,
it seems a lot of efforts needed for this. So yeah, so I was looking at some materials regarding the computer vision, especially on the 3D vision side.
hmm,
So I think I find one or two list of videos regarding that part. I think I will go through those for this week just to build as he mentioned, the mathematical intuition regarding the 3D image and computer vision stuff.
yeah, yeah. I think that's pretty important. Um, I do th I do think like as we work through collecting the image, analyzing the images,
Hmm.
like that's going to help us understand um, or develop that intuition of how do you approach you know, processing or segmenting this data or um, yeah, basically. So what yeah, what papers did you find so far about the segmentation? Not segmentation, computer vision stuff.
I didn't look at specific paper yet. I just quickly glanced through it, but not never dive really deep into any of those
Got
so
it.
far. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
oh, Philip. Yeah.
okay, cool.
I think he's gonna join. Hopefully. Uh, are you able to manage the workload? I also feel like you're kind of busy too.
yeah, I mean, I also have another class I'm taking. Uh,
Which
so
class?
like I'm uh GIOS operating systems.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I took that
Yeah,
class 2 semesters ago. That was pretty tough.
yeah, yeah. I working through the first project right now. I hear that's the toughest one, so focusing a lot on
Okay.
it. Yeah.
If
Hey, sorry I'm late.
no worry.
No
We just
worries.
exchanged the progress so far, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think two of us made a lot of progress since the last time we talked. We're just in the computational advisor meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How do you guys feel about the first advisor meeting we had?
Pretty constructive, a lot of constructive feedback, but
Mm-hmm.
it just tells me that requires me a lot of efforts to catch up on computer vision and 3D image side. So
Mhm.
that was just talking about. I'm gonna go through probably pick some YouTube video lessons to go through all this, build up a foundation understanding of the concept. Try to catch up ASAP regarding those, so that I could fully comprehend some of the terminology you guys refer to. I get a sense of what that is about, but like
Mhm.
point cloud, stuff
Mhm.
like that. I think I have a sense of what it is, but I can't be really sure like exactly what that is.
Mhm.
So something like that.
Yeah.
I need to work on for this week, I think. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, totally makes sense. I really didn't know anything about any of this until I started the project last semester.
Okay.
And even a lot of what he was talking about during the meeting was completely beyond anything that I understood. So I
Okay.
definitely have a lot to learn there too. I mean, like I did obviously some work with registration and with point clouds. Mostly I just learned what I needed to do to get something that worked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theory there that I really need to read up on that he
Yeah.
was talking about for sure.
Yeah. And also another thing he brought up is to conduct analysis on every individual
Yep.
step we take. That one also helped me think. So I was wondering, at least for now, for the first step, he said it was fine. But Philip, do you think is there any analysis we could do on that side to just I don't know if that's the priority now, but just brainstorming.
Mhm.
To,
Yeah, no, I think there definitely is. I think you're right. One of the things, so like I kind of alluded to during that presentation, a lot of the parameter settings, the choices of algorithms that I'm using, and even the choice of the head model that I'm using right now, I kind of
pretty
arrived
heuristic.
at all of those, yeah, through trial and error, not really a detailed analysis. So I think there's definitely some work that can be done there for sure.
Okay.
I especially liked the idea of calculating some, like a mean and variance of what the head shape should look like, and then comparing that instead of using an example head model. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And right now, from at least from the presentation, what I heard, you only have 5 category of lizards, or you only have 5 lizards as your data set.
Right.
5 or is it category or?
Yeah.
Okay. So I download the whatever app you talked about. Also, I download data as in a TIFF format and I exported it. I still would like you to, if you could demonstrate it to us to see how this worked, then how we could sort of label it. At least that will help us to understand more about all the concept by doing it too. So.
Sure. When you say that, do you mean demonstrating how to load it in Slicer, or which part of the process?
I got the data ready. I got the app or application ready. I think I loaded in, but somehow I cannot. Because my impression on the 3D images usually, because you could sort of slide through it and you sort of see the change when it's kind of you sort of slicing by yourself and you can see the change in pictures like that. But I couldn't do it somehow in my app, so I just wanted to see if you could do a demo just to show us. I don't know, Shuyu, if you have a similar question or.
I think it'd be nice to see. I mean, I downloaded some off of Morphos, some stack images from Morphos source as well. But yeah, I agree with me.
Sure.
If you're too busy right now, you could probably do a recording, then we could just watch it. That will help to save time because I know you have a busy schedule.
Yeah, no problem. Let me see if I can get the example pulled up right now while we keep talking, and then maybe in a couple minutes I can try to do it.
Okay, sounds good. What else? Yeah, the analysis part. So, so Philip, as you just mentioned, we probably need to do some analysis on the first part at least. I think we need to thoroughly look at our current pipeline right now, just to with analysis to justify every choices we have for the pipeline. But I think that's for now. It's kind of on you, because for us, for me, Shuyu, we're still in a catch-up mode. I think my goal for this week, all the way from today all the way to next Wednesday, would be build up that intuition foundation knowledge, and also sort of in the meanwhile get familiarized or fully on board with your project stuff. So that's the sort of the goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that absolutely makes sense. I wanted to ask, we don't have to decide this right now, obviously, but it kind of seems like the project, right now I have it broken down into 3 steps. I think Proctor made a good case for it really being a 2-step process. 1 step being go from the full model to the head. The 2nd step being doing the segmentation of the head. Yeah. So I was wondering if you guys thought it would make sense to sort of divide responsibilities between those steps.
Sure.
But obviously, like, it's helpful for us all to have background on everything involved, so we don't have to make that decision right now if you don't want to.
Yeah. I don't think we're at that stage to make that decision.
Yeah.
But I don't see a problem with that, honestly. But I think what Kurt suggests was first we locate the head, and then we do a segmentation on jar first, and then we identify individual too.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the process. But yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can
I get this.
The screen?
I see it.
Yes.
Yeah, I see the screen.
Okay, so what you want to do when you have Slicer loaded up is you want to go in here and find Slicer Morph. If you don't have this, then I don't remember where the button is exactly. I think is it this one? Yeah, you need to go to the Extensions Manager and add it.
Can you click in the install extension just to see what kind of other?
Yep, so you're going to go here, go to install, and then you're going to search Slicer Morph.
Oh, you're sharing this window, so we can't see that.
Oh, shoot. Let me reshare.
Yeah, you need to share the screen. So
let me just, do the whole screen real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. How about now? Can you see the window?
See it now. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yep. So you're going to go to the Extensions Manager, click on Install Extensions, and then search Slicer Morph.
Yeah.
This is the one you want.
Yeah.
So once you've got that, you go into this drop-down menu. Slicer Morph will be right here. Go to Input and Output, and then Image Stacks. And then here you want to browse for the files that you downloaded. Let me see if I can find. I did this a while ago. Oh, you know what? I bet it's in. Shoot, let me find these files real quick. Yes, okay. It is in that folder. All the way down here. Let's just go to here. So this will be, when you unzip the folder that you downloaded from Morphosource, there will be a whole bunch of stuff in there. One of those things will be these individual zip folders inside. Unzip one of those, go in here, and then you want to find the file where this last number before the .tiff is 0. So you want to go down until you find 0000.tiff.
Okay.
And that's the file that you want to select for file name pattern. That will that'll teach it the software to recognize which file names it's looking for in that folder. You should be able to find a whole list of them. I'll just do it sorry, the next important step, sometimes when you do this, it'll be like one of these will be different from the others. It won't load the spacing values improperly. They should all be the same. So just go ahead and change them to match. If you want to double check what the correct values should be, each one of these zip files that we get from Morphosource should have a row in a CSV file that's included in the zip file that tells you what the spacing should be. But I've never seen a case where they aren't all the same value.
Okay.
You want to create a new volume. The region of interest full volume, we'll do preview quality, but for the actual data we're going to be working with, we probably want full resolution. And then
So
you just
in
go
your report, the image that you show is in full resolution?
Yes.
Oh, but still the quality is not high now.
Right. I'm guessing that part of that came from I loaded in the TIFF files into a volume like this, and then I exported this volume to a different file type. And then I loaded that file type into a NumPy array, and then I took the image from that NumPy array. So I'm guessing somewhere in those conversions, there was a loss of quality, but I'm not sure exactly where. So once you've done that, and you click load files, it'll load them all into a slicer volume, and then you'll be able to see the 3 major planes, and you can scroll through them over here.
Okay, got it.
And then just to get a handle on the data, if you want to see it in 3D, what you can do is create a segmentation on the data, and then threshold the value so that only the bones in the model are highlighted. You can see they're flashing green here. Go ahead and take that segmentation and then show that segmentation in 3D, and you'll be able to see the actual, this is the skeleton of this model. So you can get a 3D view of it here.
Wait, how do you decide the threshold?
So the threshold, let me go back to the threshold window. You can drag and drop it here. As you drag and drop it, it'll show you in the red, green, and yellow panes on the right. It'll show you what is currently included in the threshold. I just drag it until only the bone, which is the bright white area within the model, or within the images, are highlighted. And so that way, that
like
threshold.
A opposite example, like.
Sure. So if I set the threshold value much lower so that sort of everything is included, it will, oh, it's loading. There we go. It'll look like this. It includes a lot of background information from the image. Yeah, a lot of noise. If you tighten that just a little bit so that it includes sort of all this stuff in the middle, but not all that other noise, you'll get like kind of the lizard body shape. I mean, it's noisy, but you'll get like the whole flesh part of the lizard, not just the skeleton. And then obviously you can tighten it more and you'll get just the skeleton, which is usually what we're interested in.
So we just assume this kind of, light green is the bone, or we know it is the bone?
We know that this light green is the bone because for CT images, the bone shows up much brighter than any soft tissue.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then.
Yep. Okay. So this is, I mean, yeah, it's a rough model because it's in the preview quality, but this is kind of what the data looks like.
Okay. Makes sense,
yeah. So is there like a general amount of highlight you look for, like when you're adjusting the threshold values? It's like, of course, here you can see the bones, but like you could tweak it a little bit to the left or right. Is there like a rule of thumb you go by?
Not really. It kind of depends on the image. I found that like even This is probably too much for this one. I found that sometimes roughly half will get you a good like value, but really it's all sort of trial and error for this step so far that I've been able to find. That's an interesting question though. Because so the reason why that hasn't really been super relevant is that the images that we're feeding or I've been feeding into the classifier aren't just the bone, it's the whole image. So it includes all of this sort of background noise. The reason why that is relevant though is that when we're creating the ground truth labels, the easiest way to do that is to create one of these mask segmentations and say, you know, I'm going to mask all of the bone and I'm going to click use it for masking, not the segmentation itself. Or I'm going to click use for masking. And what that does is, it's actually easier to show if I remove this segment real quick. So we're going to add a segment. We're going to do that same thresholding thing. And we're going to click use for masking. It doesn't create a segment immediately, but now if I use the brush to draw over the image, it'll only include area that I draw on that's included in that mask. So this makes it a lot easier to do the manual segmentation of the jawbone because you can just sort of paint a little bit less carefully through the background noise and it'll only paint on the actual bone.
Oh, I see the point now. Yeah, I was wondering how you can do that labeling by following the line of the T's, which is kind of cumbersome.
Yep. So if I wanted to just label this, I can draw all over, but it'll only select the area inside of the mask that I've set. So like the mask value does matter when you're doing the ground truthing, but for the actual images itself, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, I see now. Can you sort of label, is it done, or can you sort of label one for us so that we could also do it on our side? Oh, by the way, for the data we downloaded within one zip file, is it for one lizard or is it actually for multiple lizards nested in one?
So that's a good question. So if I go to this, you can see here there's, what is this, 10? Yeah, there's 10 items here. So this was all a part of one large zip file. Inside of this large zip file, there are 10 individual zip files. Each one of these is one lizard.
Okay.
So what happened here is I went on Morphosaurus and I selected 10 objects and downloaded them all at once. So it zipped them all together. But each one of those objects is one lizard.
Okay.
Yeah, I can kind of show you what that looks like. So here we have a view of the skull. It's really bad quality, but you can see here's the lower jaw and all of the teeth. So what we would do is set usually for the first segment, I just do the lower jaw, set the mask so that we're not drawing all over the background. And then for each frame, go through and color in the lower jaw segment itself. And then go back and do that same thing. In this case, let's see. The skull is from, sorry, there's something blocking it. Oh, why isn't it showing me the frame number? Interesting. I'm not sure why it isn't showing me that. That's very strange. These settings must have got messed up or something. I'm not sure how you can check that. It looks much lower in this case. In this case, it looks like there's about that far in terms of images is like the relevant ones that we care about. Which honestly isn't that bad. It gets really cumbersome though, doing each individual tooth on each individual frame.
Okay.
Yeah. I can use this. Okay, so this is saying it's 150 by 150 by 400 frames is the whole volume.
So it's pretty much like taking pictures from 3 dimensions, and then
Yes.
every dimension have like 100-ish or close to 400. But we only label those frames that we can actually see the jaw. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. That's still a lot, but that means we still need to label them 3 times, from three dimensions.
So in this case, it looks like there's about 20 or 30 frames that you would have to do, just going based on this number down here. The nice thing about Slicer, let me see if there's an easy way I can show this. If I go back and start doing the segment editor, and I start segmenting a whole bunch of stuff in the jaw here, just all of this information. Let's just paint it all green. When I go later on into a different view of the same image, and I go towards the head, that's the tail. You can see it right here. It automatically propagates it onto the other images. So really, you only have to label each frame in one dimension, and then it like reconstructs the 3D from that. I don't know if what I just said makes sense.
It does, but
okay.
Is it accurate in that sense?
Yes.
Okay. But do we need to pick a specific dimension? For example, the one we can see the whole jaw, or it's actually from the side? It's okay.
Yeah, I find it easier to work from the side. Sometimes, so like probably 85% of the segmentations that I drew from the side view. But sometimes it's easier to go from the front view. Sometimes it's easier to go from the top view. And that really comes down to like, if there's a little bit of noise around one of the teeth, sometimes it's easier to tell what's tooth and what's noise if you look at it from a different view. Or like, it's really easy to tell where a tooth, like where the top point of a tooth is if you look at it from the top view, because in one frame there will be nothing, and in the next frame there will be, you know, tooth there. So that makes it easier to get like a clean tip there if you look at it from that way.
Okay, so let's say you're trying to label your tooth, one of the two, and for example, right now you're labeling using the side view, but simply one of the tooth cannot be seen from your side view, so you need to switch to your top view, for example. Then you just label it on your top view, and it will populate on other views.
Yep. So if I go on the top view and I add another segment in a different color, let's call it red, and I just draw a whole bunch of stuff here in that red segmentation, it automatically shows up on the other, and it'll show up on every frame that is connected to.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can even see here, as I have my brush pointer on the side view, and as I scroll through, on the front on view in the top left, you can see the cursor scrolling through that area, this little yellow cursor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it. How does this labeled slice image be saved?
So you can export, and then export just the segmentation mask as an NRRD file. And then there's some quirks about how that's saved, but pretty much it's like, I don't really know how to describe it. The file has a different like chunk of information for each individual segment. So like it'll have all of the information about the lower jaw segment, and then all of the information about this segment is called artery for some reason. But so you'll be able to in Python interact with each of those segments individually or like reconstruct each of them individually. And so that goes in reverse for when we're trying to generate segmentations that we need to load into Slicer. We need to follow that same format or one of the other compatible formats.
Okay. Yeah, but it's okay. We're not there yet. When we get there,
Right.
I think I have more questions for you. Yeah. For now, at least I know what's going on the labeling side. So you said when we reconstruct it, we just pass this back, and then it would just stitch it together back to a 3D images then.
Yes. Yep. So if we have all of our segmentation information and we create a .seg.nrd file that follows that same constraint, we can just load that in to Slicer, similar to one that's, and it'll pop up the exact same as this. I actually wonder, maybe if I go here, if I can show, yeah. So here, this is not going to really look like anything because I've been drawing nothing, but you can see here now, I've got the segmentation loaded without the underlying data. So we don't actually need to reload in the original volume once we have our segmentation, our final segmentation. We can just pull in that file and it'll, all the spacing information is encoded in that file as well.
Okay. So let's say you label everything correctly, and this in this 3D images space, you would just see the jaw and the teeth pretty much. Okay, cool.
Yep. Once we load in our final labels, you will see just a 3D model of the jaw and the teeth. That's all you'll see.
How much time do you spend for labeling one lizard?
It could take me up to 3 hours. Yeah, it was rough.
Okay.
That's why I really tried to do as much as I could with a very limited amount of data. Because there's a real cost to getting more of it. If you guys are looking into Slicer, or you think you have another idea for how we could speed up that process at any point, or like some semi-supervised methods that I think he was talking about, like he recommended we research, very interested in any ideas in that space, because the less we have to manually create that ground truth data, the better it's going to be for all of us, I think.
Yeah, but I think at least we still need several more lizards to achieve that. So I think at least we still need a lizard. It's labeled several lizard, I think, just to get familiarized with the data itself. I think that's still beneficial to some sense. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, my headphones cut off just the last sentence you said.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think it's still a good practice for us to label several lizards. Okay. So that's that. So I think we need to wrap up the meeting, but at least let me take notes. So action items for everyone. So actually, I just list action items. So for me and Shuyu, we'll be going through materials to familiarize with basic 3D computer vision concept. And also, Ming and Shuyu will be fully on board with all the given project materials. Yeah, I think that's achievable. For Philip, what do you think you could do for the next weekend?
Yeah, I want to, and let me know if you have any feedback. The first thing, I'm gonna get the list of the 3 full segmentations I already have done and the couple partial ones I already have done. and get those names for you guys, just to make sure if you are going to start trying to do any of them at some point, that we don't duplicate work that I've already done. The second thing would be I want to look into the
Sorry, just to be sure.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to prevent us from labeling the sim lizard. Is that what we're trying to do?
Yes, yeah, trying to prevent you guys from labeling the same lizards that I've already done.
Okay. Prepare the lizard thing.
Yep. And then I want to look into the sort of summary statistic calculation idea that he had proposed and see if I can find any literature that does anything similar to that, or if it's that we could reference, or if it's just sort of like an intuitive idea.
Okay. Just take a quick look on the action item. If we're all good, then we could wrap this up then. Makes sense, Ming?
Yep, works for me.
Makes sense. And I think with time, if I have spare time this week, I'll look into like what we were talking about, like having semi-supervised, or like what potential steps can we take in the near future to get more segmentation data instead of manually going through everything.
Yep. I doubt it, because I know GIOS could be really rough. I don't know if you finished your first assignment or not, but yeah, that one's really a pain.
Yeah. Okay. Right. If I have spare time.
Yep.
I spend probably 20 something hours per week for that
course.
My
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good point. I'm currently in machine learning for this semester. Obviously, I'm not doing HAG for credit this semester, so there may be some weeks where I'm like swamped on a report for that, but I'll try to let you guys know ahead of time. So hopefully it won't be an issue.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.